So it's a good question because this year is IXDA's 20th anniversary. But we're a little different than a lot of professional associations. Most people think of, oh, there was a group and we found a space. This actually came together as a community online. It was an answer to a call from Bruce Togzini, so Tog as he's known, who had a blog post that said, if somebody doesn't start to claim what this practice is going to be, someone else will do it for us. So very much a call to arms. And that was happening at the same time that social media was emerging. So a discussion list grew up, not that much different than Yahoo groups that some of us are all familiar with. And so that was the beginning. And then it formed, people connected on Twitter. And it actually took 2 years. I mean, the list grew very quickly from 0 to about 11,000 people between 2003 and 2005. So then they said, well, there is a community here, and we incorporated it. And by 2008, we actually started the first conference, because up until then, it was entirely online. And they said, oh, maybe there's an opportunity for local groups and meeting people face to face. And so the first conference happened in Savannah in 2008. Very modest ambitions at the university. So they said, we've got room for 450 people, maybe 200 will show up. Well, it sold out. So clearly there was an interest in not only a growing community, but in people meeting face to face. So from that first conference started local groups meeting in between the conference. Some in the United States, but interesting, Pune was actually one of the very first local groups. Yeah. So India has been involved in IXDA from the very beginning almost, which is super interesting. But if you take from 2008 until now, the community has grown considerably. I joined the organization it's been 10 years, so 2012, 2013. And in the last 10 years, it's more than double. So today we're just over 140,000 people around the globe, 84 countries, 200 local groups that we track. I think like everybody navigating the pandemic, how many of them are really active right now versus just trying to deal with the world we all know. But it's a very big community. That's represented here in the conference. We have almost 50 countries in 900 delegates that are here in person. Yeah, so the IXDA community is super interesting, and some of that is in the name. So it's the Interaction Design Association as opposed to the Interaction Designers Association. So very much a community that's open to anyone who wants to understand, what is this practice? What does interaction design mean? Does it affect me as maybe I'm a bank and I know something about UX and UI, but I don't really know, how do I hire a designer? You could come to a local group, you could come to a meeting, you could take a webinar online and learn that way. So it's meant for anybody and everybody. Of course, it's a design-led community. So you'll find everybody from students, there'll be student local groups, to very senior practice professionals, directors, company founders, directors within very large enterprise. We've seen that today on the stage. We have, ServiceNow, large service companies. Yeah, no, we've been very, very fortunate. So as the practice has grown, it's grown within companies that we all recognize, whether those are software, social media, finance, healthcare. And because those companies see the need and they know that their teams are representative, they've also been sponsors and partners in the organization. And Adobe's a good example. They came together with us to start World Interaction Design Day in 2018. And Jay, who was one of the co-founders, works for Adobe, but is also the local leader in Berlin. So wearing two hats, he saw an opportunity to get his company involved in something that would benefit both sides. This conference is, not only has the conference grown over time, but this is the first time we're back together in person in 3 years. The last time we did a face-to-face conference was in Milan, and so in 2020. So in 2021 and 2022, we were fully online. And it's the team that did 2022, that was their interest in doing it online. They said, well, it's okay, we want to do online, but we also want to do in person. So they actually signed up for 2 years, where normally people would say, I want to do one conference. The volunteer team putting this together have actually been working for 2 years and done 2 editions. And so it's really nice to be in person here. We have almost 900 people here in Zurich from 49 countries when I last looked at the registration list. And people don't often understand how many people are behind the scenes, because myself and two of my team are the only paid core team, and really the volunteers are what makes it work. So we have a core team of about 20 volunteers, but when you look at everybody who's on site supporting speakers, supporting logistics, there's 124 volunteers in total. So we definitely have initiatives that are running. After the conference, people always say, do you get to take a rest? And obviously I do, but we have programming that runs throughout the year. So tomorrow we'll actually announce where we'll be for this conference next year, but we'll also announce where we're going to be in November for Interaction Latin America, very much a sister conference to this event, almost similar in size. So we have two conferences that run every year. We just announced this morning for World Interaction Design Day, which happens at the end of September. We have a call for topics, what the theme should be open now. So that's another big program. And tomorrow we'll announce the finalists for the Interaction Awards, and that ceremony will take place in New York in May. So there's lots going on. I think the Indian connection is super interesting because I was fascinated that Pune was one of the original local groups. I had asked the same question. Most of the founders were in Europe or North America, so I was like, wait, how did India get connected? And it's a story that doesn't really surprise anybody. It was somebody who was Indian who studied engineering and software in the United States, had moved home, so had connections with that original small group. But at the same time, when I joined 10 years ago, the community in India wasn't that active. So there was lots of opportunity, but maybe not local groups. And we've had the fortune to have a regional coordinator who is Indian, who's now based in Australia, but he could start to build those connections and also to build it with local community in India as well. So less somebody coming from California or somebody coming from Zurich to say, oh, I'm here for 2 years, let's do something, and more to say, who's working, whether it's in Mumbai, in Pune, wherever, who's working here that wants to build community. So now we see active local, there's still lots of opportunity, but the local groups have been active in World Interaction Design Day, hosting local meetups. Our immediate past president, Alok Nandi, who comes from North Africa, also spent a lot of time in India and built relationships. So I'm looking forward to seeing the role that India continues to play and that grow over time as well. It's a big community and there's always lots of opportunity to get involved. So the easiest things are to get involved with your local community. I have some time, I want to support a local group in organizing a meetup. That way, you can just go to the website and find, is there a local group in your area, and reach out to them directly. Super simple. But we also have opportunity. A lot of times people get involved because they reach out and they say, this is what I'm good at. Do you need help in this area? And that way you can just reach out to me directly via the website, via direct mail. info@ixda.org is the best way. And tell me what you're interested in. And then so we're working on a new website. We always need volunteers to manage social media. We have projects, if the conference is something you're interested in, or if you're a senior practitioner and want to give back, the awards jury is an international jury every year. To have voices from India working internationally would be fantastic.